July 1983, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 10,000 motorcyclists thunder down the highway in perfect formation, American flags waving, chrome glinting in the sun. These aren't just customers, they're disciples, people who've literally branded themselves with a corporate logo permanently. How did a struggling motorcycle manufacturer transform itself from near bankruptcy into one of the most tattooed logos in human history? And after building perhaps the most loyal customer base in American business, how did they start to lose it? That's what we're unpacking today on the philosophy of marketing, and I promise you, this story of brand devotion and brand betrayal is going to change how you think about customer loyalty forever. But to understand how Harley-Davidson built and then endangered its cult-like following, we need to go back. The year is 1903, the Wright brothers make their first flight, the first World Series is played, and in a small shed in Milwaukee, two young men, William Harley and Arthur Davidson, build their first motorcycle. For decades, they built reliable, distinctively American motorcycles, but by the late 1960s, something was happening that would nearly destroy the company. Japanese manufacturers flood the market with cheaper, faster, more reliable bikes. Harley's market share plummets, quality issues plagued the brand, and by 1981, the company was weeks away from shutting its doors forever. What happens next is a masterclass in brand transformation. A group of executives led by Willie G. Davidson, the grandson of the founder, executes a leveraged buyout and makes three decisions that would revolutionize the company. First, they embrace their heritage instead of running from it. Second, they focus on quality and their distinctive engine sound. And thirdly, and most importantly, they recognize that they're not just selling motorcycles, they're selling an identity. This wasn't just a business turnaround, it was a cultural movement in the making. And here comes marketing lesson number 1. When competitors win on features, win on emotion. Here's where Harley showed its genius. They knew they couldn't compete with Japanese bikes on speed, price, or even reliability. So they doubled down on what Honda and Kawasaki couldn't touch: American heritage, rebellion, and freedom. The famous slogan, American by birth, rebel by choice, wasn't just catchy, it was a brilliant strategic move that turned the product's limitations into its defining features. In those days, our competition was destroying us with better products, but they couldn't offer brotherhood, adventure, and individuality. We could. Willie G. Davidson, 1986. They didn't just sell motorcycles, they sold belonging, and that's what saved them. But how do you transform customers into zealots? This is where Harley-Davidson pioneered what we now call community marketing. In 1983, they created the Harley's Owners Group, HOG for short, which would become the largest factory-sponsored motorcycle club in the world. But here's the crucial part. They weren't just creating a club, they were creating a culture with distinctive elements. Rituals that included group rides and rallies, different language, specific terminology for bikers and parts, symbols, the bar and shield logo, and eagle imagery, shared values, freedom, individualism, and patriotism, and finally, common enemies, imported bikes, and conformity. Each of these elements reinforced the emotional connection to the brand. And once riders felt that connection, they turned into evangelists, which is more powerful than any advertisement. Marketing lesson number 2. Don't build a customer base, build a community with purpose. Former Harley marketing executive Joanne Bishman explained their thinking. We're not just selling transportation, we're selling transformation. People don't just want the product, they want what the product represents. This wasn't just savvy business, it was psychological genius. Harley wasn't just a product choice, it was an identity choice. The 1990s became Harley's golden era. As baby boomers hit their midlife years with disposable income, Harley positioned itself as the perfect midlife adventure machine. Marketing lesson number 3. Mythology matters more than specifications. While Japanese manufacturers fought over horsepower and features in their ads, Harley sold stories of open roads, personal freedom, and authentic self-expression. Their campaigns rarely focused on the motorcycles themselves. Instead, they showed the lifestyle, the brotherhood, the adventures, the identity transformation that came with ownership. By 1996, demand so outpaced supply that waiting lists stretched to 18 months. The company that nearly went bankrupt was now turning customers away. And here was some of the stats on Harley-Davidson. A brand loyalty rate of 94%, the average customer would own 5 Harleys in their lifetime, logo tattoos were estimated over 700,000 worldwide, and a price premium of 25 to 40% over comparable motorcycles. People were literally tattooing the company's logo on their bodies. How many brands can claim that level of devotion? We don't sell motorcycles, we sell to 43-year-old accountants the ability to dress in leather, ride through small towns, and have people be afraid of them. Harley executive, 1990s. But behind this remarkable success, warning signs were beginning to appear. Flush with success, Harley began expanding beyond motorcycles into branded merchandise, everything from clothing to home decor. By 2000, nearly 15% of Harley's revenue, over $600 million, came from merchandise. They opened Harley stores and malls. You could dress head to toe in Harley gear without ever having to own a motorcycle. And here's Harley by the numbers. Over 300 dealerships worldwide, over 20,000 licensed products, a revenue growth 15% annually for 14 straight years, and a stock value that increased 1,600% between 1986 and 2006. But this expansion came with risks. Core riders started complaining about weekend warriors and rubs, rich urban bikers, who bought the lifestyle without understanding the culture. This tension between growth and authenticity is something every cult brand eventually faces. Do you stay true to your core audience, or do you chase wider markets? Marketing lesson number 4. The more mainstream you become, the more you risk your cult status. Marketing professor Douglas Holt explains why this happens. Identity brands face a paradox. The more popular they become, the less special they feel. Exclusivity and mass market appeal are fundamentally at odds. By the mid-2000s, Harley faced an existential challenge far more dangerous than Japanese competition: demographics. Their core customers, predominantly white men born between 1946 and 1964, were aging out of riding. The average Harley owner had gone from 35 years old in the 1980s to over 50 by 2012. Younger riders weren't embracing the brand. They saw Harleys as their father's or even grandfather's motorcycles. Too heavy, too loud, too expensive, and frankly, too boomer. Between 2014 and 2019, Harley's US sales dropped by nearly 40%. Their stock lost 2/3 of its value, the cult was aging out, and new converts weren't joining. And here's the updated numbers. Their core customer average age was 51 and rising, the millennial market share below 10%, used Harleys were flooding the market, new competitors like Indian Motorcycle saw a resurgence, and electric motorcycles were gaining popularity. In their attempts to attract younger riders, Harley made moves that alienated their core audience. They launched the Street Series, smaller, cheaper bikes manufactured partially in India. They unveiled Livewire, an electric Harley with no distinctive rumble. Their loyal customers revolted. For the cult, these weren't just product decisions, they were betrayals of the brand's essence. And here comes marketing lesson number 5. Evolution must honor the brand's core mythology. This is one of the hardest balancing acts for any brand that's built around identity. You must evolve to survive, but if that evolution contradicts your mythology, you lose the very people who made you successful. Harley could have embraced innovation without abandoning its story. Imagine an electric Harley that still felt rebellious, still sounded distinct, even if artificially. Imagine new models that celebrated their American roots instead of softening them for a wider market. Change isn't the problem, betraying the mythology is. So what can we learn from Harley-Davidson's extraordinary rise and challenging fall? And let me break it down into 5 actionable lessons for any brand. Number 1. Emotion trumps features. Harley never competed on specifications, they competed on feelings. What emotional benefits does your product or service deliver? Number 2, community creates evangelists. Harley didn't just sell products, they connected customers to each other. How can your brand facilitate meaningful connections between customers? Number 3, mythology matters. Harley sold stories of freedom, rebellion, and transformation. What powerful narrative can your brand authentically own? Number 4, identity, not utility. Harley owners weren't buying transportation, they were buying self-expression. How could your brand become part of your customer's identity? And finally, number 5, evolution without betrayal. Harley's challenge wasn't changing. It was changing while honoring their core values. How can your brand evolve while staying true to its essence? And I want to go over a few of the stats with you. They're still America's #1 motorcycle manufacturer. They still command 31% of the market share for heavyweight motorcycles. They are trying to reposition with a hardwire strategy with a focus on adventure touring models. And in 2022, the revenue was $4.1 billion. So there is still time to resuscitate this giant. The lesson from Harley isn't just about building a cult following, it's about the responsibility that comes with it. They showed us that the strongest brands don't just sell products, they sell belonging. But when you become part of people's identities, breaking their trust isn't just bad business, it's personal betrayal. Harley-Davidson has a tremendous opportunity to build a unique global lifestyle brand rooted in moto culture. Their iconic bar and shield is one of the most recognized logos in the world. And unlike any of our competitors, we have the opportunity to evolve our lifestyle brand to new heights if we rigorously pursue and execute on our strategy in the coming years. Current president and CEO of Harley-Davidson. So the next time you see that bar and shield logo, remember, you're not just looking at a motorcycle brand, you're looking at one of the most powerful brand identities ever built. One that transformed thousands of ordinary people into devoted evangelists, then struggled with the blessing and curse of their own success. Now, if you found value in this breakdown of Harley-Davidson's brand journey, hit that like button and subscribe to the Philosophy of Marketing. In the comments, let me know what brand would you like me to analyze next. And until then, remember, great marketing doesn't just sell products, it creates identities.